Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Inspiring Courage podcast. I've got the pleasure of speaking with Richard Knight today. He has been running a business for nearly 40 years and he calls himself the business troubleshooter. Is that right, Richard?
That's exactly right, Vafa. Yeah, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you, please. Welcome to the show and thank you for coming
Thank you.
along this morning. Tell us a little bit about you and how you started becoming a business owner. It's a lovely story.
Well, I got into network marketing in 1982, so it was just after Denise and I got married. So we got introduced to that. So I got introduced to a personal development program, which was kickstarted my venture into the commercial business world. So I had 5 years of personal development associating with success-minded people, reading personal development books, listening to motivational, inspirational tapes. Um, on a regular basis, books every month, tapes every week, seminars every month as well. So it was a real kickstart for me when I started my conventional business as an advertising agency in 1987, which I ran right through to 2016, and then had a 3-year earn out at the end of that period, plus an extra year as a consultant because they didn't do what I told them they needed to do. So, and during that time, I built a property portfolio of about 23 properties at the same time. So.
Cool, cool. So, what I'm hearing is that personal development was the root of you getting into this new style of life that you have. Is that right? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, totally, totally. I would not have the attitude I have now. I would not have the belief in myself that I have now had I not got involved in personal development back in 1982. And I've been doing it ever since. So I've been reading books for the last 40 years, close to it.
Wow. Wow, you've got to have some library there. I know I've seen part of your
Yeah,
library before, but yes, yes. That's interesting. I think that's how we connected, really, isn't it? Because we've got
very
that
much so.
mutual love of personal development and books, and we share books and ideas often. So it is, as you said, for me too, it was the route to personal development that kind of gifted me a new way of life, if you like. So tell us a little bit more about that, because in your line of business now, is that something that you use often to encourage your clients to own in a way?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think it was. I know how important it was for me. I know how important it's been for you and for a number of other people that I know that are successful in life. And I encourage everybody to get involved in it some way, shape, or form. You know, and it's like I get people all the time that say to me, "I don't have the time to read books." I said, "Look, if you set yourself a goal to read a book a month, if there's 300 pages in the book and there's 30 days in the month, it's 10 pages a day. It'll take you less than 10 minutes to read it. But the knowledge you can pick up from books like that, and we don't all gel with every book that we read, but my attitude, you know, if you spend 10, 15 quid on a book and you get one nugget out of that book, then it's been worth reading it. But they only help people if you actually open the cover and start reading them. It's no good if you buy them and just stick it on the shelf.
Yes, I must admit I've got quite a few that I haven't opened yet, but I've got a bit of a FOMO going on, fear of missing out. I kind of see everything. I think
Yeah,
must have, and then it's kind of getting to the stage where there are more books than there literally are hours in the day that
yeah,
I can read. But yes, I see what you're saying, and it's lovely to have those kind of books that are next to your bed and you can just delve in and out of. I don't know if you've got
yeah,
that. I've got my kind of reference books, I call them. Every so often I just open them on a particular page and just revisit them again. So yes, yes, that's a really good one. Tell me a little bit about how you are helping your clients at the moment, because again, this is how we met. We met through a mutual friend, actually, way before COVID. But I have no idea how we didn't connect and we didn't speak, because it's really unusual. Both of us are super connectors.
yeah.
And it was not until COVID hit and we met at a networking meeting that we had a one-to-one, and then we've kind of kept the conversation going. So tell
Yeah.
me about how you work with clients, how you kind of promote yourself.
Well, I promote myself through networking, which is where I get most of my clients, most of my contacts. It's not always people that go networking; it's the people they know that you know. As I said, there's 4.5 million small businesses out there that employ less than 10 people, and probably if 5% of those go networking, That will be an overestimation. So there's well over 4 million businesses that don't have the bank of contacts that people like you and I have. So they don't know the help and support that's out there. So I do a lot through networking. I go to a networking event pretty much every day. I also very active on LinkedIn as well, so I get a few contacts through LinkedIn. But the way I help people, Vafa, is really through experience. I have a real issue with some business coaches out there that have read a book and bought a franchise and now they're a business coach. You know, it's like I think I talk to anybody that's been in business for a number of years, and they could do, to a degree, they could do what you do and what I do because they've got the experience of actually running a business and they know what it takes to succeed. So everything I work with my clients on is all based on experience. I'm not one for having mountains of documentation that go with when I'm working with a client. I'm good at listening. I'm good at asking questions. And I sort of feedback on those questions, and it always throws back situations I've had in the past that I know how to help them with their problem, because there's only so many things that people go through when they're running a business, and I've pretty much been through most of those. I would think I haven't met any client that's got an issue that I haven't already faced.
This is something we talked about the other day, wasn't it? That when you have been in business for such a long time, um, you almost kind of have come across most of the challenges that the new business owners come across. And, we talked about it, that no matter where we're from, no matter who we are, we literally have similar issues at the heart, at the heart of it, and also very similar. We're more similar than we're not, in fact. So it's nice that you have that experience behind you. But I must admit, that's something else that I love about your approach, Richard, is that you are a giver. You're just there to help. So I've heard you often saying that I'm just there to help people with no wish to gain from it. And tell us a little bit more about that. Where is that ethos from? Because having spoken to you at length about this kind of style of leadership that you have, if you like, that's something that's really attractive and not many own it. So tell me a little bit about that and where that's from, please.
Well, I guess it goes back to when I got involved in network marketing. Somebody said to me very early on in that journey is take your eyes off yourself, put them on other people, help them to get where they want to get in life, and as a byproduct, you get to where you want to get in life. And I ran my advertising agency in exactly the same way. If I felt that a client or prospective client I was talking to wasn't going to get value out of the service I was supplying, I'd rather walk away from that deal. I was never out to just line my own pocket. I was out to do what was right for the client. And when COVID hit, I knew there were a lot of business owners that were in a far worse position than I was financially. So I just made the gesture that anybody that needed any help, I would help them for free. I looked after my finances during my business life, so I didn't earn another penny from this day to the day I die. It's probably not going to impact me too badly, to be perfectly honest. So I do charge for my services, but again, but I don't charge a lot. And I can probably within the first 90 minutes of having a conversation with a client, I can find a way that they can cover my costs over a whole year anyway. So it doesn't really cost them anything. But if businesses really don't have any money and they are really struggling, I'm not going to walk away from them. I think there's a lot of businesses out there that need a lot of help and support from whatever areas they can get them at the moment.
Yes, and that's another area we talked about the other day, isn't it? That's you almost it's almost good to be naive to go into business. There are lots of people who are going to business totally unaware of what it encompasses, right? And it's good in a way to have that naivety, because otherwise nobody would venture into it,
No.
But at the same time, what do you suggest people do when they find themselves in the midst of setting up a business that they don't know an awful lot about? So what do you think they should do?
It's always a difficult one, Beth, because there is no real help and support out there to help people start a business, or not that they're aware of. So if they've never been networking before, they would never be aware of people like you and I. Once they go networking, then it sort of jumps out, as it did with me, and I'm sure it did with you, the amount of help and support that's out there. when you start a business, most people start a business either they just got fed up with working for somebody else,
Yeah.
they had a family member that passed away and left them a load of money, they got made redundant, and they got some money, and they think, I'll go and start my own business up. But of course, they may be good at the technical side of it, but that doesn't make you a good business owner. And we're all good at what we're skilled at doing, but you're not skilled at the other stuff. And the thing that constantly frustrates me with people that start a business up, and they tend to carry on doing it, doesn't matter how many years they've been doing it, is they try and be all things to all people, and they try and do everything themselves because they think it's the right way to run a business. And it's almost like, when you sit down with somebody that's well, even not new in the business world, and they say, they work 70 or 80 hours a week, and they say that as though it's a badge of honor. But to me, it's like, if you're working 70, 80 hours a week, you're not running a business properly. I've never worked 70 or 80 hours a week. I think the most I've ever worked is probably 50 hours a week. Never work weekends. It doesn't mean to say I don't do anything weekends, but I don't really class it as actually working. I'm working on the business at weekends, not working in it. But it's people that I think need to look, when they outsource to suppliers to do different services, IT support, coaching, mentoring, bookkeeping, whatever else the case may be. They need to look at it as an investment in their business and not as a cost. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is people always look at it as a cost. And they need to get the fundamentals right to run a business properly. Most people, I don't think, necessarily want a bigger business. They just want a better business, and that starts with outsourcing.
And that's it, isn't it? I think a lot of the small business owners, especially the ones that I'm in touch with, and I'm sure the ones you are, we all start something because we're passionate about it, right? There's a purpose for us in starting a small business. Perhaps it's a lack that we've felt in the past, and we kind of, we've now realized it, and now we want to kind of be the voice that promotes that and say, come on, I've done it, you can do it too. But it is literally understanding, appreciating that you cannot be everything in that business. It's really, really important, isn't it? And that's where building the support networks for me has come in really handy, because as you say, I know how to pick up the phone and who to speak to when I'm stuck in a particular space. And that's the beauty of going networking. That's the beauty of going networking with no agenda. Networking shouldn't be about selling to each other. Networking should be about building those human connections, right?
Yeah.
And it's understanding who does what, and how you can help each other in a way. So and also use each other as guides, as support, and as you said, outsource to each other. So that's a really important thing that I think people don't realize, the newbies don't realize about networking, the power of those human connections. And something else you said to me a while back really resonated with me. We had a walking talk not so long ago, and I said, Richard, I wish I had got into this kind of business that I'm doing much earlier. I was into personal development, but I don't know what stopped me from kind of, getting into what I'm doing earlier in life. What's your secret? And you said to me, it was the people you surrounded yourself with, right? And that to me said it all. The people that you surround yourself with are ever so important in how you progress, how you go through that journey that you have. So tell me a little bit more about that. Tell me, who was instrumental in you going forward? Do you have a particular mentor in mind, or was it just a series of people and situations, events that helped you get to where you want to be now?
No, somebody said to me, Vafa, many years ago, is at the end of every year, split the people we spend our time associating with into three categories. So those that we spend a lot of time associating with, that are a constant drain on us every time we associate with them, that we should spend less time with. Those that we know are always uplifting, and those that family members, friends, or whatever, that we probably should limit our time with. And it's quite an interesting exercise when you first start doing it. But once you've done it once, you don't have to keep doing it, because you do it as you go along. So I think association with successful or success-minded people is vitally important. And I think generally we're all in this bubble of mediocrity. And when people like you and I, or anybody that wants to succeed in life, tries to step out of that bubble, there's 20 or 30 people trying to pull you back in again. And it's your friends want you, your friends and your family and your work colleagues want you to succeed, but they don't want you to succeed more than them. So that's why they constantly try and pull you back in again. So you have to be brave enough, and you have to have the courage to actually move away from that if you actually want to succeed in life. And I'm a bit of a, my wife said when we first met, when something would happen, and I used to say, I don't care. And I really don't care. If people want to walk out of my life, that's their decision. That's not my decision. It's not going to stop me from being the person that I am, because I know I have to maintain strong to my beliefs and my values and
Yeah.
my ethics and my morals in life. So if somebody wants to walk away from that because I'm too overpowering, then that's not my problem. That's their problem. But I did have a mentor. I had loads of mentors. I met in the network marketing business, probably 4 or 5 millionaires that I got to know really well. So they were really, really good mentors for me. And then when I started my advertising business and I got involved in networking probably a year, 18 months after I started that, I met a guy who had run an advertising agency. So I met Brian through networking, a guy called Brian Smith. I still talk to Brian now. And he's probably late 70s now, but still a really nice guy I talk to, and we still have a good chat every now and again. And he ran an advertising agency, but he was also one of the brainchilds behind Air Miles. If you remember when the Air Miles program was launched, he was one of the brainchilds behind that. So because he had experience in the sector that I was working in, he was a real good mentor for me, and we just used to meet up every now and again. And I think the reason you asked me about why I am the way I am now is Brian never charged me for that mentorship. It was completely free advice. He would just ask me, just take him out for a meal every now and again. So we go out for a beer or we go out for a meal or whatever the case may be. But I wasn't constantly picking his brains. It wasn't like I was ringing him every week or every month or whatever. It's just if I had an issue that I felt I couldn't solve, I'd ring Brian up and he'd say, let's go out for lunch and have a chat. So I think it's vital for people to have somebody that they can just bounce ideas off, and that's all it is. Sometimes people just need somebody to talk to that they can trust, that appreciates where they are and can help them through that.
I love that. It is, you've talked about so much there. What I'm loving at the moment, what sticks in my mind at the moment is having that courage to kind of step outside the box, right? You talked about when we want to be different, the people around us want to keep us the same. And I think they're doing, they're acting from a place of love because
Mm,
they want to protect us. I
yeah,
remember a client I worked with several months ago said to me, I think I'm going out of my mind. I'm desperate to get out of what I'm doing at the moment. But my dad keeps saying to me, are you crazy? You've got two young sons. He had two young children. He had a really good job at an airline place. And he kept saying, but this doesn't rock my boat. This isn't what I want to be. This isn't who I am. And my dad keeps saying, are you out of your mind? Why do you want to get out? And I said, you're not the first one who's thought about it. And I said, oh my God, I'm so glad I've spoken to you, because I literally thought I was losing it. And I said, something, this totally resonates, because that's the story that I have also, when I kept thinking, God, I'm ticking all the boxes and yet I'm not fulfilled. So what's wrong with me? Okay, why am I not grateful for everything that I have? And there was an underlying issue, right? There was a cause of that dissatisfaction. And that's what's so important for people to go to other professions and people outside of their network, in a way, outside of their family, outside of their work culture, to speak about what they want to be, because they offer a different perspective. you
yeah,
know your family members and your friends love you exactly as you are.
mm,
Okay, they don't want you to change. However, somebody outside, when you surround yourself with people that are different, and the people that you want to be more like, that's when you get the courage, I think, to step outside that comfort zone that you've been in for a very long time. So that's a really lovely nugget. Thank you for sharing that with us. And also the fact that, yes, it is about having those human relationships again, isn't it? You picked up the phone and you called your mentor and you just took him out for lunch. And sometimes that's all that's needed to kind of, get you out of your head and reinforce the fact that you are on the right path, because it's not an easy path, is it? And the path to business ownership is not
No,
an easy one.
there's too many people on
Yeah.
driving on a road filled with cavernous potholes rather than a nice smooth flat road. So from chatting with Brian, it was important to make sure I was still on the right road and heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people on the right road but not heading in the right direction.
Yes.
Um, but you were saying there, Vafa, about getting different perspectives and talking to people outside of your sort of your business area of expertise, and there's and I wonder whether sometimes people have this mindset that if they hire a business coach or mentor and they're not from the sector they're in, that they're not going to get value for money, whereas I believe they get better value for money because they're not blinkered. They see it from a different perspective. And it was like you and I were chatting about,
Yes.
Gareth
Exactly.
Southgate,
Exactly.
and I could see where you were where you were coming from with that. And it's like, and he's been the only England manager that's ever done what he's done,
Mhm.
and actually hire people in his inner circle effectively that are not from the footballing world. Because if you just bring people in from the footballing world, that's all you get. You just get football experience and as you say, blinkered sort of views. Whereas you bring people from outside that have got different skill sets that have succeeded in whatever area of life they succeeded, you get a completely different perspective. Which is good for him. As he said, that's how he learns. He doesn't learn from people that are football people. He learns from people that are not football people. And he needs to give value to his team and himself by actually doing that. And to be perfectly honest, as gutting as it was that we didn't actually win the Euros, you could say we didn't deserve it, but we're getting closer. We've got to a semi-final of a World Cup. We've got to the final of the Euros. And I think he just has to stick doing what he's actually doing. And I'm sure the people he's got around him will just say, you are so close to sort of, breaking down that brick wall. You've just reached one side of it. You just need to get to the other side of it. It's only round the corner. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if, we won the next World Cup, to be perfectly
Yes.
honest. We
Yeah.
just got
Yeah.
to keep doing what we're doing and stick to our beliefs.
Yeah. And it's about having that mindset again, isn't it? To be able to welcome different perspectives and to be able to bounce back from your failures, because that's something that we haven't touched upon. But, as business owners, we fail so much, don't we? I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I failed so many times, but it's being able to just get up again, brush yourself off, and think, okay, so what am I going to try next? Okay, how?
We all fail our way to success, don't we?
Yeah,
Success isn't it's not an overnight thing, and
no,
I think sometimes you have to not fail to the extent where it stops you doing anything else, but you keep getting those knockbacks all the time. And this is where you need people around you that just keep picking you up, say,
I know.
come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And you need people around you, not people going saying, well, I told you it
I
wouldn't
told you
work.
so.
You don't want to be around people like that, because that's just that's a kiss of death, that is.
Yes, and you don't have to kind of, share with everybody. I think be selective with who you share what with
Mm,
is something that I learned quite late in life. And also being able to compartmentalize in a way. So
mm,
you kind of keep it separate, right? Business sometimes is separate from life. So
yeah, yeah.
keeping it that way. So this podcast is about inspiring courage. You have given us lots of inspiration. Anything else you'd like to leave us with? Another inspiring nugget?
I would just say to any business owner out there or anybody that's actually thinking about starting a business is just go and find help and support. Talk to yourself, talk to me. It doesn't do any harm and it doesn't cost anything to have a conversation with somebody. Don't try and do everything yourself. Build a team around you that can actually add value to business, and whether that's your own personal employees or whether it's your outsourced team. But I would add, check the credentials of the people you outsource to, because we're all looking for a knight in shining armor, not some idiot wrapped in tin foil.
Yes, yes, I like that. Definitely do your due diligence, you know, have a look at people's reputation, ask around, see who
Yeah.
they're associated with, ask around, and choose your kind of team that way, if you like. Thank you so much. Would you like to leave us with a favorite quote of yours? Because I know that you read an awful lot.
Oh God, I mean, there's so many out there. It's like I suppose it is like one that sort of rings to mind. And I remember having a picture that I've got on used to have in my office was a ring of water, and it said attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference, and it was how from a little sort of drop of water how it actually expands out. So attitude's a little thing that makes a big difference. So having the right attitude in whatever we do in life is just so vitally important.
I love that. Thank you so much. You've given us so much to think about. And if people want to get in touch with you,
You can email me to richard@lionheartmanagement.co.uk, or if you just find Richard Lionheart Knight on LinkedIn, you'll find me there.
perfect. Thank you very much for giving us your time. And it's always lovely to talk to you.
Brilliant. Good to talk to you, Vafa, as well.
Take care.
You too.